Hello, I'm Dave Bedwood, creative partner at Lean Mean Fighting Machine. And my advice and picture, what was the name of the illustrator again? Did a very good rendition of this for me. When you have to eat a turd, don't nibble. Now, I think with advice, whether you are given it or you read it, I'm probably speaking for myself here, when you at the moment that you get it, it's very powerful. You think, oh yeah, that's the sort of thing I need to change my life, etc., and I'll do that. And then, for me, I sort of then forget it, and then you go through the years and you think, and then you read it again. Oh, that was the advice that I meant to put into practice. And this sort of constantly goes on. So when I was having to write this, I was think about this advice and how it impacted on life. I thought back through my career, and I realised actually, without knowing it at all or not thinking about it consciously at all, that many key moments in my career were sort of directed by this bit of advice. So I'm just going to go through my career with each key sort of moment. So my career in 6 shits, as I'm calling it. So shit number 1, and there's 6 of these. One of them's my own. You have to guess which one. Hashtag that. So shit number 1 is idleness. Now, when I started out creative team, it was probably going back 1996, something like that, and my creative partner Sam, we were spending most of the time sort of drinking and playing computer games, darts, and whatever else we could get away with. And I came across a book called Hey Whipple, Squeeze This. Now, I think around about that time, it became sort of like a Bible for creative teams, this book. We all had it and we all consumed it. I believe it's obviously still about now. I don't know if it's been updated or whatever, but it's a great book. If you haven't read it, I think it's still relevant today. But within this book was that quote. So that advice, like Mark, wasn't given to me by my dying granddad on his, to me, whispered to me. I read it. But 2 things I think came out of it for me was, one, I think I've suddenly thought, yeah, I reckon I could do advertising. It seemed to sum up advertising quite well for me, because really, if you think about that advice, it is pretty banal. It's something that's probably been told to us all many times, which is sort of saying if something's difficult, get it out of the way and crack on, which is pretty average advice. We've all probably been told that. But because it's written in a certain way, suddenly it seems fresh and it seems interesting, and it's also something that you'll probably go and tell, which I have done, other people, and they'll laugh and think, oh, that's really insightful. It's not really, it's quite a banal bit of advice. And I thought that's sort of what we do as creatives sometimes. Sometimes the truths or the things we have to say about products aren't that insightful, aren't that different, but it's how we tell them and how we talk about them that makes it seem fresh and interesting. So there's that, and the other thing was we really got our act together after sort of thinking about it and stopped behaving like a student team. I know there's probably not student teams in here, but stopped behaving like a student team, behave more professionally and get our work together and get our book together in a certain sort of level of professionalism. So that was the first shit. Shit number 2 is the internet. So moving on to sort of 99, when there was no digital advertising about really when we sort of graduated. So we were taught about writing TV, press and poster, and classic copyright and that sort of thing. And we wanted to get in all the agencies that did that, really. So we went to Hal Henry, which was one of the hot, or the best, sort of one of the best agencies at the time. Saw the creative director there, and he said, oh, I really like your work, but I tell you what, you want to get into this internet thing, it's going to be really big. And we were like, oh, right, yeah, not been on that. What's that? And so we went away, and then Sam said, oh, my cousin's got the internet. And I remember we caught a train to his cousin's house to see the internet. It's a great day out. She lived in Kent, and we turned up, and we went in, and we was like, oh, how's this thing going to be? And it was shit. We were like, is this it? What was on it was like Yahoo Weather or something. We were like, what? It's worse than CFAX, because at least CFAX had the TV bit with it. This was just really not very interesting at all. But there was a connection through the CD at Hal Henry to a creative director at BMP Interaction, which became Tribal DDB. And we thought, let's just go and meet him, got on well with him, and we sort of thought, do we carry on with what we know and what we've been taught and all the rest of it and keep ploughing down that route, or do we sort of jump into a medium we knew literally nothing about, and we did that. Shit number 3 is the perfect job, which is related to what I've just said. So we were working there, and at the time we were on, there's about 3 or 4 agencies we really wanted to work at, and one of them was sort of saying we've got a job trial, pretty much got a job, just the CD needed to sign it off. And whilst we were working at Tribal, we weren't really focusing on it. We were thinking we want the perfect job. This is our perfect job and we want it. And we were on the phone every day phoning them up. We're going to get it. And it kept on going on and on and on and on. And it went on long enough for us to suddenly realise that the job we was in at Tribal was actually more interesting than possibly the job that we were trying to get, the perfect job. And that's what happens, you know. You get sort of blinkered and you think, I want this job, and that's the only job I want. And actually the perfect job doesn't just land on your lap, and it doesn't just come to you, and you've got to make the job you're in perfect, I suppose. Shit number 4 is the dot-com bubble. So this was a hell of a shit, this was. So in 2000, the dot-com bubble happened, got so far and burst. So we were at Tribal, and we'd grown from sort of like 25 people to like 95 people. And when the dot-com thing, they went back down to 25 people, so there was a lot of shit sandwiches for everyone, people getting fired and people leaving. It was horrendous. And looking back now, actually, we sort of saw it as our sort of, it was the best thing that ever happened to us, actually. Not, you know, I wasn't reveling in people getting sacked, but a lot of senior management were let go or left, which left me and Sam there thinking, actually, this could be really good, because if we do the CD job, we're a senior team there at the moment, if we do it, and our plan was, let's do it so good, because I said, look, you can be acting CDs, but we are looking to get a real CD, which is a great boost to your confidence. We just thought, if we just take this opportunity and be that good or work that hard that they just can't get rid of us, then it will work out for us. And that's sort of, it was a bit of a shit thing, but it worked out really well. And within the year, we were made creative directors at Tribal. 5th, so there's only one more after this. This is this shit. I like this shit. This one's a good one, because this is ignorance. So I'm fast forwarding to 2004, when we had been CDs at Tribal, DDB for a while then, and we were deciding to launch or start Lean Mean Fighting Machine. So the thing about this is, I think if you don't know the size or the scale and how stinky the shit is, you'll probably attempt to nibble it or to bite it or to eat it or whatever you want to do with it. If you know, you won't. You won't want to. And I think ignorance for us at that point, we knew very, very little about the industry or running a business. We obviously CDs in a bigger business. That's different to running your own business. We knew very, very little. We didn't really know much about how to run the client process. We didn't know anything. And that was the beauty of it. It was that it didn't, if we'd have known, and everyone can write a massive list why not to do things, we would never have launched what we did, Lean Mean Fighting Machine. So I think ignorance was sort of, was bliss in that sense. And the last, mums. And the reason why this is slight shoehorn of a turd in this bit, but it's just a massive thing that went wrong in our agency probably a couple of years ago. We did a bit of work. We just got onto the Coca-Cola roster, which is a massive thing for a small agency. And we did a piece of work, and we ended up with that work on CNN and Sky. So we ended up on TV, which I think, yeah, it's good. But it's for all the wrong reasons. There was a mum on Mumsnet who was taking big issue with a Facebook update that had been on her daughter's Facebook page, which, you know, she was well within her rights to be upset about it. It actually read, feeling a bit peckish, just watched 2 Girls, 1 Cup. So if you don't know, if you have to be a turd, don't nibble is very relevant to that video. But what happened with that was we got, it was horrendous. But you learn from these things, and I think we had to be fired because there was no other, and it was right, and it was terrible that the mum sort of saw that. And bear in mind, this girl was 16; she wasn't like 8 or something like that. Not that that'd be all right if she's 16. Not that's right if you're any age, really. And this happened through the fact, it had gone through every process, it had gone through Coke Legal, we'd written 400 of these updates, and this one, however it got through every one of these processes, I don't know, but it did. But the big thing about this, and what this, I think, tells me about the advice is, it's written, the advice, to sort of say, when there's bad things, just get them out of the way and get on with the good stuff. But actually, with this was pretty bad. If you want to, it really made us think, what do we want to do as an agency? Is this something that we just don't do, work that's risky anymore? Is this something we just stop dead and go, no, we change the way we go about things? Obviously, we don't want to do anything scandalous like that, but with creative work, no matter how much you want to be risk averse, you can't. You're going to have to stick your neck out and have to go for it. And really, creative work is sort of one long turd that you have to nibble to get to something decent. And that is what I learnt from that at the end.